Distinguished citizens, distinguished members of the media, distinguished guests, good afternoon and welcome at today's press conference on the occasion of the strategic investment project construction of a new wind park on the territory of Kumanovo, Staro Nagoričano, Kriva Palanka in the value of 500 million euros. We will hear something more from the Prime Minister Zoran Zaev, the German ambassador, as well as Mr. Scholet, authorized representative of the German company VPD. First, we'll hear from the Prime Minister. Thank you. Distinguished citizens, distinguished members of the media, distinguished Ambassador Holstein, distinguished Andres Bjorn Scholet, authorized representative of VPD Europe, distinguished Mr. Obradovic, director of VPD Adria, distinguished members of the company's management who are with us today, distinguished Deputy Prime Minister Nikolovsky, distinguished directors of ELAM and MEPSO, Kovačevski and Ramadani, distinguished director of the Energy Regulatory Commission, Mr. Bislimovsky, distinguished Kitanov, president of the board in Telecom, distinguished guests. Today's press conference is in the domain of energy, one of the priority sectors that the government is focusing on. We are determined to provide cheaper, competitive energy sources, healthy environment and cleaner air for everyone, using the investments in green, environmental and renewable energy sources. Today we have the strategic investors from Germany, the company VPD, that will build a 415 megawatt wind park in the Macedonian fields on the branch of Kumanovo, Staro Nagoričane, Rankovce, Kriva Palanka in the value of about 500 million euros, or I should say €500 million. Distinguished citizens, this is not only the biggest German investment in the country, but it is the biggest direct greenfield investment in our country from the independence until today. These are the benefits of the law on strategic investments. The large investors recognize the economic possibilities, the security and the stability of the country, and they adopt courageous decisions to invest in North Macedonia. A wind park named Virovi will be built. This will be the biggest capacity from renewable energy sources in North Macedonia. For comparison, this is a capacity possessed by the 2 blocks of installed capacity in Rek-Bitola in its best years. Rek-Bitola has a total of 3 blocks. On the field from Kumanovo to Kriva Palanka, we will have 69 new wind turbines, which is 4 times more than the current 16 seen on the border with Greece, and they will generate more than 400 megawatts from the Macedonian wind. The green scenario has the photovoltaics and the wind parks as the most important ones, and we foresee 1,500 megawatt of photovoltaic power plants and about 700 megawatts of wind parks. There is no doubt, and this project is a proof that the green scenario is very much possible. This project is more than half of these 700 megawatts foreseen in our strategy, and together with the already constructed one in Bogdanci and the issued authorizations from the government, the number goes beyond 600 megawatts. This is 85% of the estimated in the strategy. More important, the wind park Virovi will not use any beneficial tariffs from the country. The investment will be conducted in several phases. I am glad that we're talking of a serious company that works in 28 countries in the world with more than 5,000 megawatts of installed capacity in renewable energy resources. This means that they have the experience and the know-how for successful realization of this project. The investments are coming because we have completed the reforms well. We have adopted the necessary legislation and we have created conditions for investing in a safe and stable country. This is the essence of the existence of the governments and administration, to create fair conditions for everyone. We are working in pursuance to the European rules with serious and proven investors in their area. Dear guests, we will continue towards transferring to clean energy by using environmental friendly energy sources, water, wind, and sun, in order to free ourselves of the use of coal as energy. Therefore, we adopted new legislation harmonized with the EU directives. We supported the investments in photovoltaics and wind parks, and this was immediately recognized by the domestic and foreign investors. I avail myself of this opportunity to underline that by constructing the two 50-megawatt power plants in Oslo by private investors, as well as two 10-megawatt own investment of ESAMA, we are doing the first energy transition of a coal power plant towards photovoltaics. We use the fields to assemble photovoltaic power plants. This is an example for the remaining countries of the Western Balkan as well as for Southeast Europe. The energy efficiency is part of the Green Deal and its realization. Its objective is to have climate neutral and more resilient Europe by 2050. Our country supports the European Green Deal for sustainable economy by turning the climate and environmental challenges in possibilities and by making the transition just and inclusive for all. Dear citizens, the most important of all, we have historically the biggest direct investment for generation of electricity using the Macedonian wind. Investment that brings jobs and clean and green energy. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Prime Minister. Now I would like to invite the German ambassador to our country. Please, you may take the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister, it's a real honor and a pleasure to be here with you today. Danes imam golema čest da bidam s vas na.
Today is my great honor to be with you on today's very important press conference.
The ever-increasing cooperation between our two countries in the field of energy, even more so in the field of energy transition. This important project the government and VPD agreed on is paving the way to more important steps in this field. This very project will contribute to an annual reduction of 310,000 tons of carbon dioxide. The project supports the ambitious goals of the Macedonian government in the area of energy transition by providing affordable, clean energy. I'm very happy to witness the long-term commitment of the German company, as the contract will have a duration of 45 years. It is more than reasonable to give it the status of a strategic investment by a government decision. This now needs to be transformed into a law and to pass the parliament. This enormous private investment fits well with the German government's commitment to energy transition overall in Europe, but also in North Macedonia. Almost half of German support to North Macedonia so far went into the field of energy. The flagship of our cooperation was the first wind park in the Western Balkans, constructed here in Bogdanci, already mentioned by the Prime Minister, built by the German Development Bank KfW, active since 2014, and at present stepping up, again by KfW and ESM. The government is definitely on the right track, attracting foreign direct investment for creating production capacities for renewable energies, in parallel supporting the public energy provider ESM for more green investments in order to enlarge the share of renewables, to mobilize private capital, simultaneously enhancing the sustainability of ESM. This dual approach allows for a green transition of the energy sector at costs affordable for the Macedonian customers. In the context of the Green Deal of the European Union and the ambition of the Macedonian government to advance the energy transition, Germany, through KfW, made available 80.5 million euros for investments into renewable energy in February this year. We had a press conference in this very room. And this was topped by another 2.4 million euros for the preparation of that program. Investments like the one by VPD significantly increase the share of renewables in the energy mix, improve the competitiveness of the public provider ESM in the region, and reduce pollution. This shows what is possible if there is a will on all sides. And all are benefiting from it. First of all, the citizens of North Macedonia. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we will hear from Andrea Bjornscholet, authorized representative of the German company VPD. You may take the floor. Почитувани дами и господа,
Holstein. It is my great honor and pleasure to greet you today on behalf of WPD and our North Macedonia endeavor, Veteran Park Virovi. First, I would like to thank the government of the Republic of North Macedonia for its cooperation and continuous support granted to our project, which will significantly contribute to the achievement of North Macedonia energy transition goals. As noted, our Veteran Park Virovi is expected to have more than 400 megawatts of installed capacity and be more than €500 million worth. Confirming its strategic investment status by the government is an important step towards its realization. WPD, a Bremen, Germany-based, globally active project developer and operator, which became one of the leaders in the sector of onshore and offshore wind energy, project development and operation. The company operates in 28 countries throughout the world, and it has successfully realized 5,150 megawatts of installed capacity. The major strength of the WPD group lies in its expertise with regard to all phases of the project, an expertise it has demonstrated across several projects and which represents a significant control variable in the still young sector. The reason of our interest for investing in North Macedonia is the welcome and support offered from the government of North Macedonia, ambitious plan for energy transition, and the availability of natural resources supporting it. With our experience in the Western Balkans, WPD was ready to offer the best of our project, market and energy sector development know-how here. Current North Macedonia energy mix includes a significant percentage of production from coal, and it relies predominantly on fossil fuel and electricity imports. That being said, the government of North Macedonia has approved the energy development strategy until 2040, which makes it the first country in the Western Balkans to consider a coal phase-out before 2030. This country has all the required preconditions to be energy independent and could be enabled to rely on its potentials for renewable energy to satisfy most of its energy needs. Energy sector was responsible for above 80% of emissions, which can be harmful to the environment on the long run and, of course, to the human health of those affected. The environmental advantages of renewable energy, including lowering total carbon emissions and reducing air pollution, have been widely known for decades. Its numerous socio-economic benefits, however, have only become apparent in recent decades as the deployment of renewable energy technologies has become more widespread. Renewable energy development will drive economic growth, enhance human health and welfare at the national level, and because project development activities occur locally, job creation is also localized. In addition to it, it will diversify energy supply and reduce dependence on imported commodities. Through successful business operation, Veteranpark Virovi will be contributing to the national and local budgets through the land lease fees and taxes, while a system of 69 wind turbines will need to employ skilled local labor for technical and operational management, and throughout project lifetime engage outsourced local suppliers in various sectors. During the construction phase, we will invest in infrastructure improvements, including energy transmission capacities and roads, enabling access to some of the remote areas and making them suitable for farming and agricultural development. It is very important to mention that Veteranpark Virovi is developed on market principles, without subsidized price or state aid, and with full responsibility on the investor. What the government is providing with a strategic investment status is operational support in meeting all the requirements during permitting and development process, and clear and transparent legal framework both sides must adhere to during the process. For an investor like us, having such long-term clarity is the key for successful development. In return, we will offer the government the possibility of affordable electricity procurement from the project. Today, when we see all-time highs on the wholesale markets, we see this is a great way to promote energy transition in North Macedonia, as energy independence and relying on renewables is the only way of preventing energy poverty. The Veteranpark Virovi will be a power plant with installed capacity of more than 400 megawatt, which will produce about 1,335 gigawatt hours of clean electricity per year, which can supply 290,000 average households. More than 500 million euros will be invested in the realization of this project, which will be done in 3 phases. According to the strategic project agreement status, we estimate that we will be able to commence construction of the first phase in 3 years and finish the project in around 6 years from today, being fully aligned with the country's coal phase-out strategy. During project development, we will fully adhere to the highest environmental standards, and I would like to highlight that the final design and size of the project will depend on the results of the environmental assessment procedures. For us, there is no compromise in minimizing the environmental impacts of our projects. Project development is planned in the municipalities of Staro Nagoričane, Kriva Palanka, and Rankovce. First and second phase will have 150 megawatt each. Third phase will consist of 114 megawatt installed capacity, which is in total 414 megawatt divided on 69 wind turbines, each with an individual capacity of 6 megawatt. Access to the transmission system options and land securing will determine the sequence of realization of respective phases. Now we show some more details about the different project phases. Here about Staro Nagoričane. Its location. Going to Kriva. Yes, we can go ahead. Just go on. Okay, I think we get it. It's 3 phases in different municipalities. For us, implementing sustainable projects is based on building partnerships on an equal footing, as well as on fairness and continuity. Protecting the climate and resources is our motivation. That is why we make such a strong commitment in this area. Naturally, by expanding wind energy, but also by maintaining high responsibility towards our vision and mission in our daily work. We will work as expected from a reputable German investor and set high standards and expectations for future projects in terms of good relations with the local community, compliance with commitments and deadlines, and careful management of the area the state has entrusted to us for this project. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish us all luck in realizing this project. Thank you very much.
Благодарам. Почитувани, продолжуваме со денешната прес-конференција. Наред се...
Thank you. Now we will continue with our press conference and the questions from the media. First question from Citadel Televizija, please. To Prime Minister Zaev, do you believe that these projects for renewable sources are late because it has been shown so far that we cannot compensate with the power at home and we must import coal? How do you think to keep the prices stable after New Year, after all steps that will be taken by the energy companies who will report their real costs, and these costs need to be recognized because we have import of coal from outside? Will the price of electricity remain stable after New Year's? We answered part of these questions. I will repeat them. First, the stability of the prices is guaranteed to the end of the year, and there are no reasons to fear. This is guaranteed by the state, ELAM, ESAMA, and MEPSA. We deliver 36 euros, and the country reallocates funds to subsidize the energy companies. An important thing for the citizens is to know that it is never late to start these great investments and investments in green energy. It would be nice if in the past 11 years something was done in this area. However, we have been working a lot in the past 4 years in this sector. The cooperation with VPD started somewhere in the beginning of the pandemic last year when we started the measurements, the estimation of locations. There are many things to which our government, our investments have been focused on, and a lot has to be done so that we can come out as today to announce a new investor, to confirm all elements, to publish the investment. You know that we are investing a lot, both the country, and we attract other types of investments. More than 60 megawatts of photovoltaics in premium tariffs. Some of them have already started working and are generating power. The 10 megawatts in Kičevo are almost completed. They are being built with great dynamics. We will have the next 10 megawatts, then 20 in Bitola, and 100 more and 20 more. We had successful tenders. A total of 100 megawatts in the old coal mines will be installed through public-private partnership from one Bulgarian and one Turkish company, and the country reserved their rights for these companies to keep a number of the employees and certain share of the generated electricity. We are in advanced phase of the negotiations for the location in Štip. There is a potential investor. If we complete all the works Soon we will publish them. There is a strategic investment of EFT, I believe was the company, for about 80 to 100 megawatts in the region of Sveti Nikola. Let me remind you that in 2009 we adopted a decision on the government session to authorize 3 companies for wind parks, somewhere about 100, more than 100 megawatts in Sveti Nikola, where we went for a promotion in the beginning of the construction, and afterwards in Bogdanci. And the third one is in Demirkapia. There are investments in roofs, factories, the houses. This all increases the potential for generation of electricity. Let me answer your third question. We hope that all the potentials we have in the blocks in Reka Bitola and Reka Oslume will be used in the forthcoming period. You know that we have announced a procedure for import of coal for generation of electricity, which will definitely produce 3 to 4 times compared to the market price, and this will signify stability, first for the households and later for the public institutions, but also for the private sector. The country remains at everyone's disposal. We will act appropriately and equally as all the countries in the region and Europe, especially having in mind that we are related to the World Trade Organization, but with all other stakeholders. We will only reaffirm that the government is here for the citizens and for the economy. Thank you. You said stability until New Year's, but what after the New Year's? What will happen with the households? After the New Year's, ALM will need to give a new price to the universal supply, which would probably be higher. How are you going to protect the citizens? Decreased value-added tax? What are the steps that you are thinking to undertake? Some of the experts here in the government are thinking for all possibilities. What will happen until New Year? Believe me, not even the Chancellor Merkel or President Macron or President Biden or President Putin can tell you. Why am I saying this? Many things depend on the natural gas. As we see, the strategies of Gazprom must be presented these days. Most of the works are internationally related. I'm not expert in energy, but I follow the situation because I'm president of the government, and this is very important for me. I must know about international flows. We are part of the open market. We are part of the modern democratic world, and we will follow carefully all the events in the international markets, the electricity market, but also all the other energies, and we will try to bring our economy, our citizens, in advantage. That is our role, that is our intention, and believe me, that is the reason why the governments exist. They need to serve the citizens and the economy. I would not like to speak in advance about our steps, but we will be here for the citizens. They will not be left on the open market, because in person to our law on energy, this liberalization will be gradual, 70 and 60 and 50%. And together with all our capacities, I believe that we will help the citizens. If the additional amounts of coal are supplied, first from the neighbors, but this is a tender and is open to everyone. We have a need of 900,000 tons for Bitola and additional 300,000 tons for Oslome for a period of 6 months. This is almost 2 million of tons for a year. And I hope that all the energy experts will focus on this. It is important to keep the blocks functional. Each hour is important for the generation of electricity, and I believe that if we combine all our expertise and know-how, both if we have the Energy Regulatory Commission and all the experts in the government and in the big national companies, they will help us to build wise policies which will be beneficial for the citizens. Thank you. Alsat TV. Irina, any additional questions? Yes, the European Commission confirmed that the agreement for border management between the European Union and North Macedonia remains blocked because this country does not recognize the Macedonian language. How are we going to overcome this problem? We need to appeal the signing of the agreement with Frontex. Until then, we will remain on the bilateral agreements with the countries who work with our police officers from 2015-2016. However, I believe that both for Bulgaria, as well as for the European Union and for all the countries, it is very important to sign the agreement with Frontex. Thank you. Alsat? Can everyone hear me? Prime Minister, in times when you have not adopted a decision for the prices of the energy and you still follow the situation, the experts recommend to secure natural gas, which would be alternative a way of generation of electricity. Are you considering to have supplies of natural gas that might alleviate this situation? That is one question. I will have another one. I will need to hear the question once more. Is the government planning to secure reserves of natural gas? We all must follow the situation carefully. The inflation is 2.7, 2.8%, and it owes to the electricity, to the international price of the electricity, and of course it has a direct impact over the price of the products, and of course the lack of certain products. We saw that few months ago with the cooking oil, as well as the increase of the price of metals. However, the average growth of the electricity price is 5.6%. Sometimes we impose the psychological moments so fast, and this causes a spiral of increase in the prices. We need stability, we need a readiness, in order not to cause additional effects over the impact. This is well known in the economy. I confirm complete stability of the Macedonian dinar. The National Bank issued its announcement. We have all the capacities for the stability of our currency. We are in mid-October, and 35% is some serious capacity. I'm glad that we have unrealized, unproductive costs, and we always have the opportunity to withdraw more money. We are ready to act in the real time and where needed. This is very important to be known in order to secure the stability and the peace of the current flows. We should not expect more or less being part of the world market. We are a related economy. You know what is the percentage of our production that is export-oriented. This depends on the markets. And the limitation of the price is one of the options. But when you limit the prices, you either substitute, and you can't order the private factor and to say that the price will be this and this. We are always ready to intervene. And to help each household. The country has its own capacities, institutional, financial, and material ones at our disposal so that we can intervene. Yes, we will face certain crises. I saw my friend Edi Rama. He alarmed there will be some high prices, but let us wait for the following few weeks and months and to see the situation, and the country will remain here to help. You did not answer. Are you going to provide gas supplies? You cannot supply reserves of gas. These are booked quarterly, semi-annually, and annually, and they will be booked by the traders. They will be booked by the traders. The country is not a trader with natural gas. We use the natural gas for generation of electricity through TETO. Part of it is used in the technological zones, the schools, the kindergartens, and I hope that we will have gas just as the European Union. We need to have other alternatives for natural gas. The intention is to have other alternatives. We have the gas from Qatar. We have a long-term investment in Alexandropoli. I would like to welcome the execution of the agreement by the Akupoluzes Group. They are our partners for the gas terminal and for the new gas power plant in Alexandropoli. I heard you on the interview that will be streamed tonight. You plan subsidies for citizens and companies. If this crisis is deepened, how much is the government ready to subsidize the citizens and the companies? How much money do you have as a government? You know, if you click to an open budget, you will see the realization of all the programs, and you will see that we have about 50 to 150 million euros. I don't think that we will need to use more than 10 or 15% of it. The country always has its reserves, part of the COVID measures, and the COVID activities have its own reserves. We doubled them. There is an appropriate potential. Certain potential of it will be used to help ESAMA and MEPSA in the part of the overall organization of new productions through a mechanism that will help the public enterprises. And the second part is to stabilize the public enterprises for the needs of the citizens after the COVID crisis or for other reasons. But if there is a need due to the energy crisis, then we will go with the assembly, we will reprogram the budget, and we have the reserves. The budget is feeling well. So that we can help everyone, both the citizens and the companies. Good afternoon. I have a question to the Prime Minister. The Macedonians in Bulgaria sent a declaration where they asked to stop the unprincipled compromises with Bulgaria. And the Macedonian Academy on Science and Arts underlined that they ask for a new document that will be signed with a compromise of all political subjects that will precise the red lines in future negotiations with Bulgaria. I will have another question later. Let me answer the first one. It is not European or right to interfere the interior affairs of a certain country. We need to do what is our job, that is to appeal for compliance with the international agreements and the rights before the Court on Human Rights in Strasbourg. It is not friendly, it is not neighborly for us to involve in what happens in Bulgaria, nor we want someone to interfere in our country. We have defined all issues in our constitution, all the requests that come as ideas, as discussion in our cooperation have been publicly and transparently answered, but I don't think that we need to undertake activities to act in Bulgaria. In fact, our constitution says that we will not interfere in the interior affairs of the other countries, and this is confirmed in the agreement for friendship and cooperation, not to interfere in the internal affairs of Bulgaria. My second question? A while ago, ВМРО ДПМН accused that activists of SDSM shared black bags in the Roma settlement Bairo in Bitola. Do you have any comments? First, I appeal to everyone, no matter from what political parties do these activists come, to prove this. We're finalizing our campaign. This is how we're going to lose votes. Whoever does that, I have not been informed of this. I believe that it was presented while we are at this press conference, but I appeal to all of you to submit the evidence to the competent institutions so that they can undertake appropriate measures. Of course, I personally expect to see the arguments through the media, and I will look into this situation. Thank you. Thank you. TV21. Good afternoon. Question to Prime Minister Zaev. Mr. Zaev, you said that you do not want to interfere in the internal affairs of Bulgaria. But I would like to remind you to Article 49 of the Constitution of Macedonia. You say that it says that the Republic takes care of its people who are members of the communities in the neighboring countries. Do you think you violate the Constitution in this part? You more take into consideration the non-interference clause. Each of the countries, Bulgaria too, with their requests for the Bulgarian ethnic group, that is the right to everyone. Everyone can ask something. It is our right to choose whether we will allow this or not. Bulgaria did not impose to our assembly. Of course, this is an issue that was requested by Bulgaria, as all the other people have the right to ask for something. They wanted to have the Bulgarian ethnic community included in the constitution, and it is our right to decide whether we're going to allow this or not. Bulgaria has the right to decide on whether they will join the declaration for certain views and suggestions, and if we want to be Europeans, then we need to settle the things in the European way. If we believe that we are the most important in the world without respecting our neighbors, then that is a totally different issue. I comply with our constitution and with our laws. these are our highest values. The Macedonian identity, the Macedonian language, I have protected them in each of my talks. I take pride with this. The Macedonian people, the Macedonian language are registered in the United Nations, and all the successes we have achieved on international level, we will bring us great investments such as this one. $500 million. For me, this is a historic day, and I will repeat this in my answer because this is a result of our policies that have been implemented in the past 4 years. Policies both with the neighbors and at home, and in general with the economic policies in the country, laws on energy, laws on investments, on strategic investments, etc. We have a totally European standing. Ahmeti recently announced in a campaign that the next thing that will be realized is for an Albanian to be prime minister of the country. Is there an answer? And then I will have a question for Ambassador Holstein. For this type of dimension of a politics for an Albanian prime minister in the country, we will wait the real moment when the citizens, Macedonians, Albanians, Serbs, Vlachs, Turks, will be ready to elect a non-Macedonian to be our prime minister. Our future is joined. Prime minister is voted on elections. He is not selected by the parliament or the government. I would like to be able to see this moment. This will mean affirmation of a person, of a citizen. And as a citizen, no matter their ethnic determination, will be accepted by at least 50% of the Macedonian, 50% of the Albanians, 50% of all the other ethnic communities in our country. I would like to see this person being accepted for a prime minister of North Macedonia. This is a good ambition to appeal to the Macedonian electoral body or to the non-Albanian electoral body, because they said that they have a lot of votes from the non-Albanians, but this ambition takes a majority of votes of the non-Albanian electoral body in our multi-ethnic country. A question for Ambassador Holstein? Yes? Ambassador Holstein? I will return to the declaration of the Macedonians who live in Bulgaria. They say that they ask from the European Union not to allow misuse of the right to veto and to stop the maltreatment of the Macedonian ethnic community. Will the European Union do something about this? Will Germany, as a great supporter of Macedonia to start negotiations, will undertake certain steps to deblock the process of the Euro integrations of North Macedonia? Thank you. Ambassador?
Again, over the last days, it has been made very clear that bilateral issues have no place in the accession process and they should be solved outside the accession process. That's the main argument, and this is what should be followed also with respect to minorities. Anyway, minorities living in a country have the citizenship of the country where they live. So to me, the question is a little bit hard to understand, honestly.
Благодарам. Продолжуваме понатаму.
Thank you, Alpha TV. I have a question for Prime Minister Zaev. We're 6 days to the elections. If SDSM has less advisors, maybe they would submit their resignations? No. Whether you would submit your resignation? No. Another question. The wine producers are having protests today and ask you to visit them. Is it true that they called you a liar? These are the local party headquarters of VMRO-DPMNE. These are the rice producers, members of VMRO-DPMNE, and 98% of them are presidents of the local headquarters who created this protest. The government in these 4 years has increased the subsidies to 18 and 30 thousand of denars per produced kilo, and for certified materials for rice. And we have adopted a decision because these funds have been reserved in the COVID program and was confirmed with the rebalance of the budget. We are helping them with additional 3 Macedonian denars. These are 66 million of support to the rice producers. They have never received more support, and they're quite recognized when they're creating party protests. Good afternoon. My question also referred to the rice producers, but the Prime Minister has already answered this, so they are also blocking today. So if you have anything else, could you visit these people? Could you try to see the truth about the protest regarding their products? This is supply and demand. This is something between the traders and the producers. About 10 or 15% comes from the factories, and the other one is from the individual producers. There is always instability in the price. The manufacturing price is about 20 denars, and it is being sold by 17 or 18 denars. They are subsidized with 5 denars, so even the lowest price of 17 denars covered with this 5 denars equals 22 denars. We have added 3 more denars per kilo, all in order to compensate the manufacturing cost and for the producers to have certain benefit. Of course, we were ready to give these assets to the buyers so that they can come to 25 denars, but they did not agree with our proposal. The Minister of Agriculture had a meeting with them, and today I appeal for you to carefully analyze who are these people there. The producers of rice know all the steps that we have undertaken, and we have given a lot, not only to the rice producers, but to the overall agricultural processes. These are policies of the government that are quite new, and I'm convinced that due to political reasons, we have these blockages of the streets. I'm asking for some sense. Elections are something else. Our cooperation will continue. We will be always here to help. Situl has another question. Irina? Prime Minister Zaev, after you rejected the resignations of Filipce and Hassani, do you think that the parliament should have a session regarding the newest reports so that there are no dilemmas in the public. I support everything that will give the voice to you, to the citizens. We have the report, but this is only the preliminary report that defines the causes for the fire. And I know that the additional details will be investigated by the public prosecution, and the whole report will be published. Appropriate initiatives will be instigated. It is announced that towards the end of the year, we will have the roadmap for resolution of the dispute with Bulgaria. Are we working on the details? We have guarantees that the roadmap will be implemented. Well, I said that we have no guarantees from Bulgaria. We did not receive any guarantees from Bulgaria during the Slovenian presidency. Neither the European Union was given certain guarantees. I hope that President Radev understood the messages. These are bilateral issues that should be resolved bilaterally. The working groups are continuing their work. This also involves the roadmap. Representatives from both foreign ministers are working on this, and I believe that we would resolve this issue because it is something that can be resolved. It is simple. The short name is the same as the long name. North Macedonia is the same with Republic of North Macedonia. We have no territorial pretensions for any of our members, and of course not for Republic of Bulgaria. Of course, this is one of the points. We can find a solution if we want to. If one part that wants to continue the blocking, then it remains their will. We need the support from Bulgaria. Bulgaria is one of our immediate neighbors. We call each other friends, brothers, and brothers help each other. They are not blocking each other. I would like to underline that Bulgaria is a member of the European Union, and the European Union cannot adopt a decision without a consensus. But I believe that the sensibility and the sense of the politicians will help us to write good history that will be left for the future generations. Thank you. Another question for Mr. Bislimovsky. Having in mind the events in the region and the world, can we expect that Macedonia will be part of the energy crisis? And can we expect rises in the price of electricity? Regarding the energy crisis, for most part, there is an issue with the prices of electricity and natural gas in Europe, in all countries of Europe. Also, the delivery of electricity, there is electricity, but for higher prices. In the following period, we can expect that certain countries will use the domestic production for their needs, but there will be transactions in the electricity market, and that will function. Regarding the natural gas, at the moment when the delivery of natural gas from Russia will increase, the price will be stabilized, and also this will stabilize the prices in the prices of the electricity. This is not a problem only of our country regarding the electricity prices and the natural gas prices. This is a problem that is faced by Europe. Each government individually, as ours, are undertaking appropriate measures to stabilize the situation with the prices of electricity and the prices of the natural gas. Regarding the question for the electricity prices, there will be no changes to the end of the year. The situations are changed drastically regarding the electricity prices after Putin last week announced that they will increase the delivery of natural gas in Europe from Ukraine. the price of electricity on the market was decreased by about 20%. At this moment, ESAMA, together with the government, are undertaking activities to secure coal in order to stabilize the price in our country, and this assistance will mostly refer to the economy, where from the capacity produced by ESAMA in the third block, there will be a just allocation to all consumers on the free market of electricity. It is too early to speak what will happen from January the 1st because things are changing very quickly. In December, we'll have more concrete information when MEPSO and Electrodistribuția will announce their tenders for supply of electricity. I believe that ESAMA will continue to provide more than what is needed for the needs of the households. Although they could have supplied 70%, they still supplied 100%. Distinguished guests, this is the end of our event. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.